Welcome into Texans Today, folks. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs. Coming up, we have a little Overreaction Tuesday after the absolute ass whooping the Texans put on the Dallas Cowboys last night. And it's a Victory Tuesday. I'm pumped. I know we beat a sorry-ass team, but that still doesn't make it any less sweet. Go down, spam those H's for a Texans Victory Tuesday. If you're pumped, if you woke up a little bit happier, a little bit lighter on your feet today, go down and spam those H's. Coming up, an Overreaction Tuesday after the 34-10 win over the Cowgirls. We got a lot to discuss on today's show. If you missed it, last night we had an epic watch party here on the channel. It was absolutely fantastic. I mean, the amount of people that came out and supported. We almost had 100,000 viewers last night on the stream. So thank you to everyone who joined me on my watch party last night as we saw the Texans absolutely take it to Dallas. CJ Stroud didn't have his best game, but Joe Mixon, 20 carries, 109 yards, 3 touchdowns. Cooper Rush, 32 of 55, 354, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was slinging it because they were down all game. And we saw Nico Collins, who came back. Yes, he scored a touchdown on the first drive of the game that got called back, but he looked good. He looked good. He looked healthy. Good signs for the Houston Texans. So this is what we're going to discuss on today's show. Jalen Pitre, is he the Texans' X factor? Will the Texans win with their defense this season? And are we so back? I'll discuss all these topics on today's show. But if you're new to the program, this is how we kind of measure rumors. This is how kind of we measure overreactions with our Toro heads meter. If I give it 0 heads or fake news, no chance it's not happening. 1 head, think of it kind of like 25%, small shred of truth. 2 heads, people are talking. 3 heads, pretty likely. And 4 heads, H-Town, hold it down. It is going down. So let's get started with our first topic on today's show. Jalen Pitre, is he the X factor for this Texans team? I'm going to give that 4 Toro heads. H-Town, hold it down. People are talking because Jalen Pitre is the spark plug for this Texans defense. He has been fantastic. After a sophomore slump last year, Jalen Pitre in his new role with this Texans defense has absolutely came out to play and been playing like a guy with his head on fire. If you missed it last night, he absolutely brought the boom to the Cowboys. This was one of his plays which he got called for unnecessary roughness, which was total BS. The NFL is soft. He had this play. He also laid out a Cowboys offensive lineman, which led to that scoop and score from Derek Barnett later in the game. But Jalen Pitre was absolutely laying the wood last night. And I want to hear from you folks at home because we were having a great discussion last night on the live show. It was so much fun watching Jalen Pitre play. But I want to know from you, 1 word to describe how Jalen Pitre plays. Let me know down in the comment section. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get here with the YouTube ad break, perfect timing. Scroll on down and let me know your 1 word to describe Jalen Pitre. Dog. Jalen Pitre is an absolute dog. And in this new role where he's playing more of a slot corner, almost a, sub linebacker role, he's flourished this year, and he absolutely has been bringing the boom. We talked about a sophomore slump last season for Jalen Pitre because they tried to, play him in that role of a free safety, playing him as the deep safety, guarding the deep ball. That's not Pitre's game. That's not what he's good at. He plays in the box. He plays really good against the run, and he can, deal with, sort of zone, man-to-man, guarding the flats. He's fantastic around the line of scrimmage, and him blitzing the quarterback, him, just letting him pin his ears back, run like a man with his hair caught on fire, like a chicken with his head cut off. That is where Jalen Pitre is at his best, and that is what DeMeco Ryans has had him do this season. So we've seen it pay off for the Texans defense. Jalen Pitre, an absolute dog, and I mean, at, under 6 foot, maybe the hardest hitter on this Texans defense, which is saying something for the 3rd-year man out of Baylor. Next up, we talked about this Texans defense. Will the Texans defense win this team their games? You know what? Cullen, actually hold it. I'm not going to tell them what I think about it just yet. First, I'm going to tell you about our sponsors over at Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app out there with over 5 million active members. Basketball It's back, and get started with the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there where you can turn your football, basketball, hockey, MMA knowledge into some cold, hard cash. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports, and they have promotions all throughout the year. They have one that I'm locking in today, Taco Tuesday. That's where they discount certain player stat projections up to 25%. Today, Jason Tatum, they discounted his points tonight up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Was at 27.5. They brought it down to 22.5. And then I took the king, LeBron James, more on 42.5 points, rebounds, and assists combined. You can use my picks or go against my picks. Just do it over on PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. So get started today. PrizePicks. Run your game. All right, let's look at the next topic on today's show. Texans will win this year, but with their defense, that is for just win babies. And I don't want to get it twisted. I don't want everybody to think this is me saying the Texans offense can't win it. I just think if you're going to win, if you're going to make a playoff run this year, it's going to be behind this Texans defense because they are something special. DeMeco Ryans has cooked up a insane unit for this Texans team. And I think once we get into the playoffs, you're going to see them play the field position game more and rely heavily on this defense because they have been that good. Free agent signing this past offseason, Danielle Hunter, he's been all he's cracked up to be and even more. This coming from NFL Next Gen Stats. Danielle Hunter generated 10 pressures and 2 sacks on 46 pass rushes against Dallas, with 9 of his pressures coming against right tackle Terrence Steele. This part right here, though. Through week 11, Hunter leads the NFL with 72 pressures. 15 more than the next closest player, Trey Hendrickson. He is leading the NFL in pressures by a wide margin. And yeah, he's doing that without his running mate, his right-hand man, Will Anderson Jr. on the other side, which he should be coming back soon. I think the Texans sat him out. They sat out Kamari Lassiter just to be safe last night up against the Dallas Cowboys. But Will Anderson Jr. was in consideration for Defensive Player in the Year at one point this season with 7.5 sacks. He's missed a couple of games, but he has been playing insane this year. And then you say, hey, the Texans have a good D-line, but what about on the back end? Yeah, their secondary might be one of the best in the NFL too. Derek Stingley Jr., with playing this season, has allowed a completion percentage of 45.6, 9 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, only 1 touchdown allowed, which was that Kayshon Boutte touchdown up against the Patriots, which shouldn't have been a touchdown. I don't know why the Texans were playing press corner there. But regardless, and a passer rating against of 49.7. He has been absolutely elite this year. And not to mention last night up against the Cowboys, really quickly, last night, 5 targets, 1 catch for 8 yards, an interception, 2 pass breakups, and a 0.0 passer rating when targeted up against Derek Stingley last night. And yeah, we mentioned the rookie, Kamari Lassiter. He didn't play last night, but when he's on the other side, he's allowed a completion percentage of 42.1, 3 interceptions on the year, 8 pass breakups, and 29 tackles. He's been absolutely fantastic. We talked about Jalen Pitre at the beginning of the episode, but also the other safety, Kalen Bullock. Maybe has a chance to be Defensive Rookie of the Year. Should have had another interception last night, had it fall right out of his hands, but he has 4 INTs on the year, 8 pass breakups. So this Texans defense is built for something special, and we haven't even mentioned the linebacking core without Christian Harris, which he's expected to come back in Week 15 after the Texans bye week. You have Azeez Al-Shire, who's played awesome this year. Henry To'o, who's taken a step up this year. This Texans defense is something special. Top 3 in the league, in my opinion, when they're at full strength. If the Texans, they're going to make a run this postseason, it's going to be on the backs of the defense and them shutting down the opposing teams. So what does that mean for this Texans team? Well, you might see a little bit more conservative, which I know people are upset with Bobby Slowick. You might see a little bit more conservative from him and this Texans offense once we get closer to playoff time. And that might mean a little bit more of Joe Mixon, which in the Texans case is good news because right now he looks like to be the best running back in the NFL, if not top 3, top 5. So once it gets down into December, January, when the Texans are playing, Don't be surprised if they're at around the 50-yard line, 4th and 5, 4th and 4, and they punt it. Because I think they're going to lean heavily on their defense, playing the field position battle, and saying, you know what, if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to beat our defense. We're not going to give you short fields. We're not going to give you any advantages on the offensive side of the football. I could see the Texans playing a conservative style of football, which a lot of fans are going to disagree with. They're not going to like it when they punt it on 4th and 4, 4th and 5 at around the 50-yard line. But when you have a defense like this, I think that's what DeMeco Ryans, this Texans coaching staff, is going to do moving forward. Before we get into our last subject on today's show, reminder, hit that subscribe button. We just passed 21,000 subscribers last night. Thank you to each and every single one of you who has subscribed so far for daily videos, weekly live shows here on the channel. We are the fastest growing Texans channel here on YouTube for good reason. We're 100% free. We're not stuck behind any kind of paywall. We got you covered with the latest Texans news and rumors all year long. Now, let's get into the last subject on today's show. The Texans are so back. They're so back. 2 just win babies. I'm just going to give it 2 just win babies. I know we're all pumped. The Texans admins are going crazy on their Twitter account, absolutely roasting the Cowboys. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves because at the end of the day, we did beat a shitty Cowboys team. Let's be honest with ourselves. The Cowboys are not a good football team. We should have won that game. Honestly, I think we could have won that game by a lot more if the Texans played their A game. I think they played their B, maybe C game up against the Cowboys yesterday. They still won by 24, but it wasn't the Texans that we know that they could be. Coming up, they have 2 divisional matchups. Week 12, they play the Tennessee Titans, 2-8 Tennessee Titans, which Texans, not going to say it's a guaranteed win, but you're up against the Titans. You're a much better team. Same thing as I said with the Cowboys. You should win this game. And then you look at the final 5 games for the Texans. Week 13 at the Jacksonville Jaguars, which they have been horrendous this season. Then you have your Week 14 bye week. And then these 3 games. 3 games in 10 days. It's going to be an absolute gauntlet for the Houston Texans. But if they can get past these next 2 AFC South games, I think they're in a good spot. And for them, I was talking with the guys in the office, for them to get any shot at a top seed, they're going to have to win out. They can't lose another game if they even want a thought about getting a top 2 seed in the AFC this season. The good news is, like I said, if they win their next 2, I think they pretty much secure the division. That means they would be 5-0 within the AFC South, have 9 wins, and I don't think the Colts are even going to win 8 games this season, let alone 9 games. So if they win the next 2 games, they're sitting pretty in the AFC South. But like I said, if they want home field advantage, if they want any chance at getting, maybe that first round bye, they've got to. They must absolutely win every single game remaining on this Texans schedule. That's all I have for you today, folks. Make sure to keep us locked in. Stay tuned for the rest of the week as we get ready for Texans versus Titans. I'll have more Texans news, more Texans rumors, the latest injury news around the team. You know I got you covered. So stick around, stay tuned, and subscribe to Texans Today.